All right, it is December 20th. It's 10:23 p.m. That's why it's so dark in here on December 20th. And I spent the majority of today learning about Git and Git. Let's say it that way. Git and GitHub, which is actually really cool. So as I understand it, Git is a computer program. Everything's a computer program, right? Git is a computer program that allows you to track changes to files, which is actually really, really cool. And to install it and work with it, I had to go all up in the terminal. And so now we're besties, which is cool. I've had to do some stuff in the past working with WordPress, and like this is my second encounter with Bash, and I wanted to call it Cold Brew. It's not Cold Brew, Homebrew, which I thought I already had on this computer, but my other computer, like it crashed one day and just died, and so I had to get this guy, and I'm like, I thought I did it on this one. But either way, wasn't on this one, and I got to practice twice because I have a, first world good problems. I don't know, first world fortune. I have a MacBook Air as well. No, MacBook Pro. I had a MacBook Air in the past, and I actually really like that. But MacBook Pro, and so running that on both and being up in the terminal and installing Homebrew, which I wrote a bunch of notes down, which I think is very important. But as I'm understanding it, Homebrew is a software that allows you to install like coding shit. It allows you to install other things. Let me go and find that, because I feel like it's important that I have this correctly in my head, but I don't know where I had that on here. Homebrew is a package manager for iOS. Translation, it is a program that installs developer tools. When I say coding, it's synonymous in my head. Coding, developer, I get it. The person that actually does this for a living, they're like, blasphemy. But this is how little old me understands it. So how to install Homebrew. One of the coolest things to me is that LLMs, AI, it allows you to learn and meets you where you're at. And so you can just ask a million fucking questions and be like, what is this? What is this? What is this? And yeah, sometimes you get stuff wrong, but like the fact that you can just keep asking, what is this? What is it? What is this? And, Path, if you ever done any kind of like coding or anything, it comes up all the time and you're like, is this an acronym? And it's like, no. I'm like, why the fuck is it all capitalized then? It shouldn't be. Although I say that, and like I have this part of my brand called this word more, MOAR, and it's always capitalized, and people think it's an acronym, and it's not. But path is literally the path, right? It is a list of file system paths that the shell searches. Learned about shells as well, Bash being one of them, which I told you I had interaction with before. Bash actually being an acronym standing for Born Again Shell, a little like hat tip to the original shell. But as I understand it, shell is a program. A shell is a program that lets you talk to the operating system, right? And you use commands. So everything's like going through these different layers. But, and it's called a shell because it wraps the operating system. Interesting. There's something about a kernel in there. I didn't feel like going more into that because it's like you're not supposed to touch it or anything with it anyway. So I was like, I'm not going to learn about it. But one of the best parts, the coolest parts to me about AI is that you can just ask all these questions and be like, wait, what is this? Wait, hold on. What the fuck is happening? So I have, 2 courses that I'm kind of working through. One of them is build your own apps. I think the guy's Nate. I can't pronounce his last name. But one of the things that these courses tend to do is they kind of blow through things, or, they're so used to doing things, or sometimes people don't really know why they're doing it. Maybe they learned it from someone and then they just do that. And one of the examples was there's a command git commit, and if you go git commit -am, he didn't know why he was doing it, and I was like, maybe we should figure that out. And no shade to him, because I watched the like GitHub tutorial videos. I'm all about tutorial videos. I watched the GitHub tutorial video, and the woman was talking, and all of a sudden she goes git commit -m, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Where's this -m? Why we didn't see this ever before in anything? So learning, you can ask the LLM. So one, I love AI because you can ask it a million questions. It meets you where you're at. But I'll die on the hill that any tool is only as good as you make it out to be, and if you realize it's a tool. And AI is so great because you can use something like Cursor, right, which is an AI coding platform, AI coding tool, right? But you can just be like, write this thing for me and not learn anything. Or you can go into the little ask mode and have it teach you things. Or you could be inside of ChatGPT, right? Because one of the things that you're doing if you're going to be in Cursor is you'll be in the terminal in Cursor. So I'm just like, whatever, we're going to skip Cursor for right now and just be in the terminal. And ChatGPT encouraged that. I told it, I was like, hey, I want to get practice with this. I'm trying to learn this. I'm trying to learn Git and GitHub. Like, can you help me? We'll go through step by step. And it prompted me to do it this way instead of going through Cursor. And it was like, this is better so that you get more practice with this. And I had to create a repository. And it was like, yes, you could do that from inside of the terminal. But let's start off with you doing it from the website, from GitHub website. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that is what today was spent doing. And there is so much to be said about, you have to try the things and fail and mess up, and you're not going to break anything. It's like very scary to be in terminal because you think you're like going to break something, but then you start to understand that, terminal's doing things that, this, what is it called? The graphical user interface. Like I was like, can I just actually have made that folder in that over there? And it was like, yes, you could have. And I was like, okay, I understand what's happening here. But working on the basic commands and understanding what GitHub's purpose is, I've been using ChatGPT to create HTML files. I wasn't even creating HTML files. I was creating HTML and CSS for pages, right? I was having it code pages for me, the sales pages for me. And then I was just saving them. I thought I was saving it as an HTML file. I was not. I was saving it as like a rich text, I don't know, RTF something. And when I realized that, when I was looking to move all of these and put them into a repository in GitHub, not really because I need to, and I was like, oh, I understand. This is a way that you basically have this living in the cloud, and it's always safe, and it's always safe. But more than that, you can track the changes across it. You can, have all the different versions saved, branch things off. And I was like, okay, I understand the utility of this because I'm just doing it, basically I have an SSD that I was saving this to. So then I also learned how to say this as an HTML file, which then I was like, oh, cool. I can just double click on this now and view it because it's living locally. And I understand that a browser is a program that allows you to render these HTML files. So very cool to me. And so I learned ChatGPT taught me how to convert these files into HTML files. And I was like, all right, cool. I did a bunch of them. And then I had to create the repository on GitHub. And then I'm working through those initial commands, right, of git init, which that's such a fun thing to say, like git init. Like, look at me. So going through git init and understanding that is what basically makes it trackable. And it creates that and I'm saying this, and if I'm wrong and you're watching this and I do decide to publish this and I'm wrong, just be nice. Like, I'm working through and I will learn. But from my understanding is that git init basically makes it trackable by Git, and it adds a hidden directory to the file, to the folder, so that you can track these changes. And I was like, all right, so that's the first step. And then git add is what will add it to the staging area. And I was like, I don't understand why you fucking need a staging area. Don't you want to just save everything? And then I had a chat with Chat, and it was like, no. And the issue is that I'm thinking about it like a Word document where like, you want to save everything. But when you are working on these kind of developer projects, you may not want to save everything. And I was like, all the changes that you're making at once. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So then it was git init, then we have git add, and I'm pretty sure I was git add space period because I wanted to add all of those files that were there to the staging area. And then the last thing after that would be git commit. Right? And then from there, because git commit, as I'm understanding it, commit seems to be kind of like save. And then from there, if we want to push it to the repository, we want to push it to so it's not just local, we want to make it remote, then we would need to do that git push command. And that's where things got fun, because I had to connect the two, and then I had to create a token. And then I learned that the password that it asks for is not your actual password. That's just why I had to create the token. But you start to learn, like, okay, nothing's like broken. It's okay. So yeah. And then I learned that with git commit, that git commit -am that Nate was doing, right? That's going to just add everything. And then the M is just the message, right? Because you need to, the message, no one explained this, right? But the -m means the message. So it would be git commit space -am, and then the message would go in quotation marks, or I don't think it needs to be in the quotation mark. You just write it. I don't know. I'll go through this again, but my understanding is that that message is you saying, okay, this is what the change was. And I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But no one fucking explained that. But you cannot do that the very first time, because it has to have been committed before. So the very first time, it was the initial commit. It was git commit -m, and then the message that I put in there was initial commit. But first was git add, and that's when I'm like going through the little terminal here, which I'm like, the files are in the computer and my eyes are broken. Speaking of dark mode, I was like, why is everything in dark mode? Because we know that from like a reading perspective and like eye strain, having dark background and light text for like a lot of text is like, it's like makes your eyes tired. And I was like, why would you do this? And it was like, well, when this developers and coding first started, it was the black background with the green text. And then you just kind of stayed with that, and that like it's easier for contrast for some things and like having the colors. But then like largely what I gathered was that it just fucking looks cool and people just keep doing it. Because I was like, I don't think I want that. So my old ass has it with the white background, but we'll see if I change it just to feel cool. No shade to anybody that does that. Like, great. It kind of hurts my eyes. Although I love a black background for my sales pages, but I try to spread everything out because it's tough when it's like a lot of text in there. But as I'm looking through this, it was git add, and from there it was, if you don't put spaces and stuff, should be fucking up. And so there was that. Then git add, and then I did git, yes, look at me. So it was git add space period. What's wrong with me? So that added all of the files. And then, so that puts them to the staging area. Then git commit is going to be like saving it. So it was git commit -m. And I do have the quotation marks. It was initial commit, so that it knows that. And it did all the things there. And then it was the git push. But there was things I had to do before that, because, or like there was like a longer thing than just git push. I'm just looking at here because it was remote. Yes. I don't see where. Oh, yeah. Okay, because I missed that about the branch, and you had to set like something about upstream. So it was git push set upstream origin main, and then it was git push -u origin main, and then it did all the prompting of stuff for me, which I was like, what's your name? And then what's the fucking password? But it's not your actual password. And then I had to go in there and create a token, and I couldn't find where that was, but I got it. And all of this took me many, many hours today. But I think it's really important. I know it's really important. And, I know what's going on. Like, you're literally in the computer. You understand what's going on. If something breaks, you can fix it. And that's a big thing for me. So that was today. We'll see what tomorrow holds. But so far, so good. I'm having a really good time. And it's late, but my lovely lady, she understands. And I'm excited. I continue to be really excited and really optimistic and just really hopeful about all of this. And we'll see where I am a year from now.